This is the UBC News Roundup today on the 16th of October 2021. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha. A very good afternoon and welcome. In our top stories of the week, President Yoweri Museveni this week called upon teachers not to obstruct government plans of financing science teachers. He rejected a proposal by UNATU to consider concurrently the remuneration of teachers in non-science fields. Now, the president says science is more crucial in tough times, but other fields can always be considered at a later stage.
Uganda National Teachers Union wants government to remunerate teachers specializing in other fields other than sciences in order not to jeopardize the teaching process. This follows Cabinet endorsing science teachers for a 4 million salary.
All those with the same qualifications should ideally earn within the same salary scale. This is clearly stipulated in the National Teachers Policy.
Why don't we start with some that are most needed?
UNATU argues that teachers need to be supported to help students recover from learning losses registered during the first year and 7-month ban on education institutions due to COVID-19.
E, to stand for education financing. C, to stand for continuous professional development. O, to stand for the operationalization of the National Teachers Policy.
Saying that if the administrators get less pay than the scientists, that it will spoil administration. I am the president of Uganda. If you want to check my power, you try it.
The president was not comfortable with some of the demands of UNATU, but advised the NRM Secretariat to share critical information with the teachers.
So I'm surprised. This must be the mistake of the Secretariat and the patriotism Secretariat, the one in the President's office, who don't engage you and really, all these teachers should know this.
Museveni declared his intention to sue officials who involve in corruption during the recruitment phase of teachers.
That there is a price attached to each job category. Those that can afford to pay successfully sail through the process.
Educated people get evidence and trick them and get evidence and we go for them. Those don't have to waste our time.
Furthermore, there has been an outcry that retired teachers grapple with delays in accessing their gratuity. UNATU wants the process automated such that retirement officers automatically have access to pensioners' payroll on deletion from the active payroll.
A number of them die before accessing their retirement benefits because of the stressful process.
The president has committed to follow up the SACCO money supposed to be availed to teachers by the Microfinance Support Center. This year's celebration to mark the World Teachers' Day was marked on the theme, Teachers at Heart of Education Recovery. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News at Kololo.
We'll continuously wait for the practicability of that. Now, moving on from that story, President Yoweri Museveni this week cautioned Cabinet against accepting favors and bribes from the business community. Museveni was closing a 2-day ministerial retreat at Kololo Airstrip, where he emphasized the need to reduce the price of electricity for manufacturers.
Not even the heavy downpour stopped the President of the Republic of Uganda from officiating at the closing ceremony of the Cabinet retreat.
If the civil service is very serious, it will help the country stabilize. It will advise the ministers what to do and not what to do. Would advise the MPs, because everywhere the civil service is there. In the parliament, there is the clerk of parliament.
President Museveni was concerned that corruption in the business sector was imminent to the disadvantage of Ugandans.
Stop taking bribes from businesses. Because I get reports, I have not arrested anybody. which God willing I may able to do, of asking bribes from business people, political leaders of different types, including even members of parliament.
Describing it as a form of tax, Museveni warned masterminds behind the practice of unimaginable consequences.
This culture must stop because it's very dangerous for our future. It will scare business. Businesses will run away. Investors will run away because it's like a tax on business. I have reports about people who have been asking for bribes from companies and businesses. This must stop. We cannot tolerate it because it will kill the future of our country. Some of the countries would have gone very far. There are many countries, some of the countries had wars, and that's why they lagged behind in Africa, but some never had wars. But they had problem of corruption. And you find they are stagnant, like the ones which had wars.
Museveni was also concerned with the price of electricity, which he once reduced, especially for manufacturers.
Number two, the price of electricity for manufacturing. This is in the hands of the Honorable Nankabirwa. No corruption, not disturbed by corrupt people, but now cheap electricity. You will see how factories will rush in.
Ruth Nankabirwa, the Minister for Energy under whose docket Museveni's concern falls, has pledged more action.
Actually, it's not a call, it is a directive which I received loud and clear, and I am trying to work on it. We are trying to see the sites or the locations of these industrial areas to see whether we can connect power, not going through Umeme footprint, because Umeme has an agreement with us, and there are things that we should really respect in that agreement.
The two-day cabinet retreat was officially opened on Wednesday by the Vice President, Jessica Alupo. As he closed the minister's induction, President Museveni emphasized the need for Ugandans to continue observing standard operating procedures against COVID-19. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Now, still in the course of the week, Vice President Major Jessica Alupo this week challenged members of the cabinet to embrace teamwork to ensure effective service delivery. Alupo urged ministers to avoid cliques and uphold their oath of secrecy to avoid jeopardizing government's quest for Uganda's development. She was speaking during the opening of ministers' induction and retreat held at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala District.
This induction was meant to acquaint recently appointed members of the cabinet with what it takes to be successful in their mandates.
The qualities of the ideal cabinet minister are judgment, strength of character, experience of affairs, and an understanding of the ordinary people.
It was officially opened by the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Alupo Jessica Rose Epel.
I am confident, however, that this cabinet induction is essential in arming you with information and knowledge as we discharge our duties as cabinet members.
She emphasized teamwork for effective service delivery.
Let's work as a team among ourselves as cabinet colleagues, but also with technical people in our sectors. Secondly, let's be accountable for our actions and how we spend our time. Thirdly, let's always stick to already established policies as we discharge our duties.
This message was welcomed by other members of the cabinet who called on colleagues to take seriously their mandates.
Personal interests cannot override national interests. Whatever you are doing, if you cannot go with the government position and you're in the cabinet, then get out of cabinet.
I'm happy with the guidelines from the Vice President that please work as a team, internalize the NDP3 and the NRM manifesto, and also to ensure that we work putting ahead the presidential directives of working in cohesion.
So the minister has to know how does he or she relate with the permanent secretary, with the other public servants, how does he ensure that he represents the interests of the ministry in the parliament, in the cabinet, in the public.
As to whether government is concerned about the vacant ministerial position of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, this is what Dr. Chris Baryomunsi had to say.
There isn't a gap per se. The Attorney General and his deputy cover that position, and therefore there is no vacuum at all.
The two-day retreat has brought together cabinet and ministers of state. Permanent secretaries are expected to join on Thursday, with President Yoweri Museveni expected to officiate at the closing ceremony. Henry Okrut, UBC.
The Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, this week implored officials from Ministry of Gender, Education, Civil Society and Local Government to investigate why families are unsafe for the girl child during the COVID-19 lockdown. She was speaking during the commemoration of the International Day of a Girl Child at Kololo Independence Grounds in Kampala.
The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has adopted the international theme to commemorate the Day of a Girl Child, Digital Generation, Our Generation. Girls in Uganda have come out with collective recommendations to government to support their inclusive digital participation. These include affirmative action for those interested in studying ICT courses and the use of digital platforms to report cases of abuse. According to civil society organizations, 80% of Ugandan children and youth live in rural areas and cannot access online learning. These want government to establish digital literacy as part of school curriculum for primary and secondary schools.
Ensure that we take part in ICT lessons at school to improve on our digital skills. Reporting cases of online cyberbullying.
One of the girls shared with us that she or her family is unable to pay for data to access learning online. Worried that their private information may be leaked online and make them vulnerable to insults and attacks.
The Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, says ICT is essential, critical and enabler of social and economic development.
Accordingly, Uganda's Vision 2040 identifies ICT among the key fundamentals as well as an opportunity to spur our transformation into a modern and prosperous country. It is clear from the above that the policy and legal framework for ICT penetration has properly been laid by government. Our investment as government in the next 4 years include addressing the problem of limited network coverage so as to increase ICT penetration.
Nevertheless, girls cannot develop skills for contemporary learning if their families abdicate from their responsibility.
As parents and the entire community, we look on helplessly as we neglect our responsibility and allow early pregnancies and marriages, incest and defilement to thrive before our very eyes. Then how on earth can we even begin to talk about the digital revolution? Knowing very well that the digital revolution has its own challenges. And this is where children need help most. Yes.
The Ministry for Gender, Labour and Social Development has committed to come up with measures that will ensure mindset change among the community.
We shall focus our energies to mindset change to target parents, teachers, traditional and cultural leaders to change the cultural norms, tradition, and other aspects of society which presupposes and reinforces the notion that girls cannot study sciences, technology, engineering, mathematics.
Minister of Gender also launched the multimedia campaign that is meant to promote and protect the well-being of girls and boys in Uganda.
Everyone is responsible. All our children will have a good and brilliant future.
Although girls are excluded in digital revolution, United Nations report shows that Uganda is making headway in online learning. I'm Nafka Farida and Abdunasir Wama in Kololo.
Now, in more news, moving on from that, the First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, this week met with a team from Stanbic Bank and discussed the possibility of the bank extending its social responsibility to the education sector. The meeting was also attended by the Government Chief Whip, Honourable Thomas Tayewa, and senior technical officers from the Education and Sports Ministry led by the Permanent Secretary, Keti Lamaro.
Mrs. Museveni said that after the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development allowing the Education Ministry to raise funds from well-wishers to facilitate unfunded issues in the sector, she has started soliciting support from whoever is willing to help. The First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has met a team from Stanbic Bank to discuss the possibility of the bank extending its social responsibility to the education sector. She noted that there are many issues that need to be addressed before the education sector, which has been closed for almost 2 years, is reopened. She cited the challenge facing many schools in different parts of the country which have been affected by climate change effects like floods and strong winds destroying their infrastructure. On the question of encouraging those teachers that have found alternative jobs during the long school closure period to return to teaching and continue looking at teaching as a viable profession.
So that's how I come to you, knowing that I now have the permission of the Minister of Finance, but they still have to write to us and the Attorney General has to be involved with the money we raise, and that's okay with me. But honestly, I want to go out and talk to willing people, beginning with bankers, and I've started with Stanbic.
Stanbic Bank's Chief Executive Officer, Anjuko, acknowledged the challenges facing the education sector and the implications on the nation. She reiterated the bank's commitment through partnerships to support the recovery of the education sector and get it back to normal operation, and highlighted their proposed responses to ensure this. Stanbic has offered a 100% waiver on unapplied accrued interest for the school borrowing portfolio in distress caused by COVID-19, and in addition, zero rate on all interest effective 1st October 2021 to 31st December 2021. In support of e-learning, Anjuko reported that Stanbic Bank is in the process of developing a laptop financing solution to facilitate digital learning and is already in discussion with Makerere University as a pilot.
We calculated that if they paid 30,000 per month for the duration of their course of 3 years, they would be able to work through the period to get the equipment they need today to study, and they will not feel the pain as much as possible.
I'm going to work with the Prime Minister. I tell her, we see which central body.
The Government Chief Whip, Honourable Thomas Tayewa, commended the Education Minister for being innovative and soliciting for support from well-wishers to address the challenges in the COVID-19 era. He pledged Parliament's support to this initiative. The Stanbic Bank team also updated the Education Ministry team on programs their bank supports and has invested over 6 billion shillings in the last 6 years to develop and upskill Ugandans outside the classroom. It has so far made an impact on over 300,000 students, 1,000 teachers, and has also inspired over 2,000 youth-led business ideas. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Now, the number of Ugandans embracing vaccination is growing day by day as President Yoweri Museveni announced that 7 million targets before the reopening of schools. According to the district supervisor of Wakiso District in Simbi Michael, over 500 people got vaccinated at Nambole Vaccination Center alone last week. Wakiso has more than 19 vaccination centers.
Nambole Vaccination Center has this weekend attracted hundreds of people seeking vaccination services against COVID-19.
COVID is real. COVID has killed very many people. Some of us have even lost relatives to COVID. So I can't just sit down and see what killed my relative kill me too. So I'm just saving a generation to come by doing this.
We need this vaccine to control COVID-19, and we need to resume school because this is one of the reasons, this is one of the passports to school.
Outside the country, mostly outside countries, people are really dying. COVID-19 is squeezing people seriously. Everywhere, the whole world. So we're still young, we still have families, we still have what to do. And we still need our lives. That's why I've also tried to fight for my life.
Others were coming for the first job, while the rest were coming for the second job. Those coming for the second job says they didn't experience any side effects.
It is something good that you need to protect your body, such that even if you become sick, you don't feel extremely ill.
We have come here to be vaccinated so that we can save our lives and from other people's.
While this special tent is set for the elderly and persons living with disability, a few who have come says they were motivated by the fact that they are the most vulnerable to coronavirus.
I have seen my husband didn't get any problem and I have left him at home. He's okay. I delayed because of transport problem, and you can see. But now he told me that you better go. I said I better go.
And being vaccinated, it will make you at least be defended from what? From this sickness.
According to the district supervisor of Wakiso District, the turnout has so far increased since government started mass vaccination, with over 500 people being vaccinated at Nambole Stadium alone.
The turn-up of our clients, ever since we started, we've been here, as the district, we've been here for 3 weeks. We are making 3 weeks tomorrow. So since then, our usual turn-up has been around 500, on average 500 people. And that's what we've been giving out, giving them first dose and at times second dose. A few of them who could turn up for second dose.
Michael, however, complained of the delayed health workers' facilitation that has posed a challenge among them.
Supplies are enough, but the facilitation to the health workers, we've been promised that it is coming, but it's not yet coming through. So just imagine the 3 weeks now on dry supply. It is quite tricky for our health workers. But we are trying to manage. We've got some hope that there is some facilitation that has already come to this district account, and I know our bosses are working about it and to see that at least we have our facilitation.
Philip Aguta, UBC News in Nambole. At least 279 military police officers have this weekend been passed out at Mazindi Military Police Training School after undergoing a 4-month training. Of these, 44 were female officers. We have details on this story that transpired within the week.
Masindi Military Police Training School Commandant Kano Emon Kajina has cautioned newly passed out military police officers to be mindful of their health. This was during the pass out of military police intake 13. Kajina added that the trainees undertook theories, demonstrations and practicals in public order management, military police department, prisoners handling, martial arts, very important persons protection, counterinsurgency and internal security, among other things. The course also aimed at producing a capable force that will effectively perform the roles of military police to enable them build capacity to match the current threats and dynamic security situation.
The aim of the course was aimed at imparting knowledge and skills to the trainees in order to ascertain combat readiness in offensive, defensive operations and operations other than war, so that they can assist the defense forces, stop civil society in protecting and defending the gains of Ugandans.
Presiding over the function, Major General Sam Okideng, the Deputy Commander Land Forces, asked the graduates to maintain the discipline.
Today, our young people have demonstrated a high level of techniques. Trainees, congratulations.
And the skills exhibited during the training. He also cautioned them to protect themselves against HIV and AIDS.
Well, congratulations to the 279 of those that passed. Now, the Pope of the Orthodox Church, His Beatitude Theodore II, has this weekend conducted prayers in the northern city of Gulu. He extended his appreciation to President Yoweri Museveni for ensuring that freedom of worship prevails all over Uganda. And we have details on this story.
The Patriarch of Alexandria and all of Africa was received with pomp in the city of Gulu and has pledged to upgrade regional cathedral and also build a technical school. This has excited residents that believe his visit to the area is not only evangelical but also will spur development.
In fact, what he has pledged is very important and I love it because the situation in this area is so alarming. When we look at the youth, more especially in this time of COVID, we have youth who have dropped out, especially girls.
He loves Gulu so much, he loves the new diocese so much, he loves the children, the clergy, the bishop, and he knows what is important for the young diocese. He knows our needs. He knows what really we need to have in place for the diocese to develop.
The Patriarch of Alexandria led prayers at St. Laverentius and wished the best for Uganda that is blossoming in many ways under the current leadership. His Beatitude Theodore II was accompanied by Bishop Makarios of the Metropolitan of Nairobi. He is the caretaker of the Kampala Metropolitan after the demise of Archbishop John Alwanga. During his stay in Uganda, he's been to various places including the East, where at Namutumba he prayed for wiping out of COVID-19 to ensure Uganda's children return to school. He will this Sunday be at St. Nicholas Cathedral in Namungona to pray for the late John Alwanga.
Former President Forum for Democratic Change Party KANU Dr. Kizza Besigye this week challenged Ugandans to put political differences aside, unite and come out with a common voice for the development of the country. Dr. Kizza Besigye was this week speaking as chief mourner during the burial of the fallen former Member of Parliament for the then Madi-Okolo County late John Drazu Armadri, who has been one of the founders of Forum for Democratic Change.
The former Member of Parliament for the then Madi-Okolo County and also one of the founders of Forum for Democratic Change Party, John Armadri, passed. The former president for FDC, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, attended the burial. Besigye said that the most important thing Uganda needs now is to have a better foundation for development of the country, regardless of political differences.
I want to tell you that our difference is not FDC, NRM, I don't know, yellow, blue. No. Our only problem is what Armadri stood for. How we build the country. The question is whether we have the foundation on which to build the country. Do you have equal opportunities? If there is a business that there is a tender and the best person gets the tender. So let's not fight about these parties at all. We are brothers. The Honorable Biga Kanya, we were together. I was actually the national political commissar. So when I see him, he should salute me. The only difference is justice.
Dr. Besigye hailed the late former legislator John Drazu Armadri for having played politics of development for the people of West Nile and the country. Minister for Lands in charge of urban development, Honorable Mario Obiga Kania, who represented the government, said political disagreements should not tear leaders to negatively affect development.
What you disagree elsewhere cannot be what I disagree. And I'm happy that the Honorable Colonel Besigye has said the issue should not be where you belong, but the issue should be what contribution can you make from where you belong. This post office which you now see is dying because of modernization, because of electronics, was started by such people. Integrity of service. And this goes across to all of us. Whether you are in NRM, whether you are in FDC, whether you are a priest, serve where God has put you, knowing very well that at one time, what will only be left out is the good that you have done.
Bishop of Lera Catholic Diocese, Bishop Sanctus Wanok Lino, described the late as a reliable politician who loved doing the work of God.
Armadri, in terms we would say is a philosopher, is the one who sees life where there is impossibility, as the doctor even read very well. He will say, this I cannot do, this I can do. The contrast in life, I need help. If there is any politician who ever rang me for the need of prayer, is Armadri.
The late John Drazu Armadri was found dead in his house at Ediofe in Arua City on Thursday last week. The postmortem result shows that he died of blood clot in the heart and abdominal aorta. Late John Drazu Armadri served as the Member of Parliament for the then Madi-Okolo County for 10 years from 2001 on FDC ticket after retiring as Principal Manager, Uganda Posts and Telecommunication in the year 2000.
May the Lord strengthen the family of the late. In more stories, former president candidate Dr. Kizza Besigye and allies in politics this week unveiled a political master plan to expand the frontier in the fight to oust the NRM government from leadership. Now the People's Front for Transition, PFT, led by Dr. Besigye, met at GEMA offices in Kampala.
The People's Front for Transition Pressure Group is seeking to end the NRM government reign before 2026 general elections. At GEMA offices in Mengo, Dr. Kizza Besigye said there is a need for action and confront the crisis that this country is facing.
Every possible person or group to rally around the problem. And as I pointed out, we are not the problem. The problem is the injustice, the entrenched injustice in the country.
Despite the absence of NOP, Besigye added that the formation of the new pressure group will deal with the current crisis.
They needed further engagements, and that may take some time. They think we can go ahead, and when those engagements are done, they will join us.
Dr. Besigye clarified that the pressure group welcomes all members who are agents of change.
In order to achieve that, every political actor who is change-seeking is desirable to be as active as possible, as coordinated as possible in delivery of that message.
Kampala Mayor and FDC Vice President for Central Region, Salungi Lyasirikwago, hinted on the debate on the proposal to deny suspected murderers bail.
I'm speaking about millions of, hundreds of Ugandans who are languishing in jail. So this injustice, that is one aspect of it, because it's multifaceted. But this injustice is real. Make no noise against those who stand up and are saying enough is enough.
Ken Luchams and Lubega Mukaku are also members of the new pressure group.
The way we are trying to fight is intended to redeem all those people who are oppressed, including all the political parties.
Unemployment bites you, the young people. And we are saying now is the time.
PFT attracted a number of opposition politicians, including former presidential candidate Samuel Walter Lubega Mukaku of DP Bloc and John Ken Luchams of Conservative Party. Haruna Mtesasira, UBC News, Mengo.
There you have it, PFT, the new political pressure group that wants to drive out NRM out of leadership. In more stories from that, the National Social Security Fund is considering paying the proposed 20% mid-term access in a staggered manner since it has no money available for lump sum payments if Parliament passes the NSSF Amendment Bill. The NSSF Member of Parliament, Richard Byarugaba, told the Parliamentary Committee on Gender that this week that savers money was borrowed to Tanzania, Kenya and Rwanda and the government of Uganda in long-term investments.
While considering the amendments in the National Social Security Fund Bill, members of the Parliamentary Committee on Gender have learned that NSSF has no money ready to pay immediately if the law is passed to provide for 20% mid-term access of savers who clock 45 years and have saved for 10 years. The NSSF Managing Director Richard Byarugaba told the committee that they will need enough grace period to mobilize funds.
Without the law, we will be paying out 938 billion shillings this year. As a result of the new law, we'll be paying out an additional 900 billion shillings, which will bring the total to 1.8 trillion shillings that we need to pay out this year. That is equivalent to over 10% of the fund.
Byarugaba also told the committee that savers' money was borrowed to East African countries through buying treasury bonds, which are long-term investments, because they didn't anticipate this amendment in a short period of time. 7.6 trillion was invested in Uganda 2.7 trillion in Kenya, 1.4 trillion in Tanzania, and 28 billion in Rwanda. Currently, NSSF, which collects shillings 125 billion a month, is worth 15.6 trillion. And they have been paying out 938 billion annually to savers who clock age limit. But with the new amendment, 20% of the intended beneficiaries is equivalent to 902 billion shillings. And this, according to NSSF, stretches the potential total payout up to 1.8 trillion annually, which is 10% of the fund. There is also fear that the 20% midterm access may cause inflation.
As you know, our fund is invested in long-term investments, and therefore, getting all this money out at the same time would have a detrimental effect. One, it would have a detrimental effect on the fund itself because we don't have these assets and liquidity waiting there to be paid out. Secondly, we do not have the money that is going to be paid out is paid out to individuals, and because it's not significant in the scheme of things, it could lead to inflation, especially if the money is not big for people to reinvest in other big projects. So we think that we can handle the payment of the benefits, definitely, but it will have to be done in a staggered manner. And I believe that the clause that has been included within the Act, which allows the minister to come up with a statutory instrument that will regulate how we pay out this money is so important. So at the end of the day, definitely the money will be paid out.
If you have the figures and you know the number of people that are credible to getting payments as and when they need to, then why do you keep saying you don't have money as an NSSF? I have seen the figures there. But if you plan properly, as you have shown us clearly that you can plan and cater to these people, then why should that be a question of not having enough money?
You said you should go, you politicians and others, educate the people about the benefits. But I'm employing you to do that for me. How far have you gone?
In August, President Museveni cleared workers to have midterm access to National Social Security Fund savings and directed the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development to make changes to the bill and return it for consent. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
That was the Managing Director, Richard Byarugaba, NSSF, talking to members of Parliament and some other people about what they have in terms of NSSF midterm funds. Moving on from that, still in the course of the week, the Ministry of Health this week set up response teams to deal with escalating cases of COVID-19 in Kampala, Teso, Acholi and Lango. The increase is attributed to mass gatherings, barriers, weekly markets and weddings. The administration of vaccines remains low across the country. However, by December 2021, the 4.8 million target population shall have been vaccinated.
Uganda's COVID-19 positivity rate has dropped from 21% to an average of 3.4% in the past 10 days. Daily average number of confirmed cases have declined and stabilized at 124 cases over the last 1 month from 1,440 at the peak of the second wave in June. Daily average number of deaths have also declined from 57 to 6.
This means we still lose on average 6 people every day.
Hospitalization remains predominant among those above 50 years, and 61% of those who died in treatment units had comorbidities. The Delta variant continues to ravage the country, and the Ministry of Health reports that more females have been infected with COVID-19 in the second wave than males compared to the first wave.
That burials are mostly attended by females. The majority of those who go to pray are females. And of course, they go along with the children.
The ministry has also observed high levels of complacency since the lifting of various sectors from a countrywide lockdown. In September and October, 3 regions have registered intense cases. Teso sub-region in the districts of Soroti, Katakwi, Ngora and Kalaki. Acholi sub-region in the districts of Amuru, Gulu and Inwaya. Lango sub-region in the district of Oyam.
The main drivers of transmission in these districts have been identified as mass gatherings, for example, burials and weddings, weekly markets, the subsequent social activities and interactions, including drinking alcohol after market days.
So far, 2,378,171 million doses have been administered to the population, while 34.2% of health workers, 19.2% of security personnel, 14.9% of teachers, 1.7% of elderly 50 years and above, and 1.8% of people with comorbidities have received full doses of COVID-19 vaccine.
These numbers are still too small. With increased availability of vaccines, I urge those eligible to get vaccinated.
The ministry will receive 5,342,400 doses through donations and 3,260,400 through direct procurement, which will be sufficient to vaccinate 13.5 million people.
Therefore, the priority population of 4.8 million should be fully vaccinated by the end of December 2021.
Meanwhile, the administration of AstraZeneca and Pfizer as first and second jab is proven useful.
The rest is all at a level of a study, so we do not recommend that. And the first recommendation for all countries everywhere is that don't mix.
Dr. Jenroth Acheng argues that her ministry is considering mandatory vaccination of health workers.
Civil servants are permanent and pensionable staffs. No one will touch their salaries. But it is important to stay alive, and you have to question yourself whether we have to beg you to stay alive or you want to stay alive.
The ministry plans to have vaccination points in places that attract large congregations and increased rates of transmissions. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Kampala.
We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with business stories of the week.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey mama. At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175*94# to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175*94# to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175# and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Good morning, Mr. Murisa. My name is Dr. Buramu, the district veterinary officer here.
Good to meet you. Doctor, we are facing a big challenge of foot and mouth disease here.
Don't worry.
I have an important message for you today. Foot and mouth disease is causing a serious impact on your livelihoods, but it can be stopped. You as a farmer has the biggest role to play to ensure your livestock remains healthy. Your animals are your livelihood, and so you need to take every action possible to guard your business, your livelihood, and your family. Animal quarantines fuel poverty, and they will continue if we do not protect our farms from such infections, what we vets call farm biosecurity. The government is doing everything possible to control animal diseases, especially FMD, but needs your help, Mr. Murisa. Healthy animals are more productive and will open better and higher value markets for you nationally, regionally, and for international exports. The foundation for better animal health is to ensure your livestock are fed and watered well. Your animals will grow and not suffer from less disease if you also provide supplementary feeding. You need to feed your livestock on silage, hay, and forage instead of complete free range that exposes them to diseases. Increased production of your livestock will mean better household incomes, well-nourished animals, high productivity, and a health herd.
This message is brought to you by...
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Connect your home online with MTN WakaNet Max, a fast and reliable home internet solution to power your streaming, gaming, online classes, work, and CCTV security cameras. The MTN WakaNet Max starter kit comes with a free 4G router, SIM card, and 35 GB bundle with no validity, all at 245,000 Uganda shillings. Visit any MTN service center to sign up.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Still watching the UBC News Roundup. Now, in our business stories of the week, the Higher Education Students Financing Board this week opened applications for the 8th cohort of the study loans to admit students for the academic year 2021-2022 under the Students' Loan Scheme. Government of Uganda has allocated 6 billion Ugandan shillings to facilitate 1,500 beneficiaries.
The Higher Education Students Financing Board has commenced submission of applications of the study loans to be given to admitted students under the undergraduate, diploma and degree programs for the academic year 2021-2022. The Executive Director, Higher Education Students Financing Board, Michael Wanyama, says the award creates access to higher education.
To support 1,500 new cohort of student loan beneficiaries and at least 100 continuing students in the academic year 2021-2022. This is the first of its kind when we are supporting the continuing students who are in their final year.
Since 2014, 11,187 beneficiaries have got loans to study in 130 degree programs and 76 undergraduate diploma courses. However, challenges still encounter students that fail to clear up their loans.
We check beyond reasonable doubt to ensure that indeed you are not earning any income. If we also discover that you are earning an income, now that's a legal case. You know, for us, the Act does not give us power. But in the future, we envisage a scenario where one has stubbornly refused to pay, then we shall take a legal recourse against him.
In the meantime, the board has allocated a special loan scheme for persons with disabilities this academic year.
That you must be admitted, so you must have a copy of your admission letter. Also attach a copy of your national ID. And we have been passing on this information to the learners that they should get their national IDs. Copies of academic certificates or result slips or transcripts which you early on obtained. A copy of a birth certificate is also a requirement. A copy of the recent passport photo.
Applicants are given 2 months to submit documents and are required to pay a non-refundable loan proceeding fee of 53,000 Ugandan shillings. government has set aside 6 billion shillings to support the scheme. Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
MTN officially opened its initial public offer. In another development, the Private Sector Foundation has partnered with the Bureau of Standards in advocating for improved standards for locally manufactured products. We have details from Sigoa and Amge.
MTN Uganda majority shareholder MTN International is offering the general public 20% of its shares at a value of Uganda shillings 200 per share.
MTN Uganda, we are investing more than $300 million in the next 3 years, which will mainly go through the expansion of our network. We're adding almost 1,000 new sites in the next few years, also to fulfill, of course, our obligations of the NTO, where we have obligation the same way that the listing was an obligation of our new license. We have other obligations, one of them being nationwide 90% landmass coverage.
Those interested to own a slice in one of the leading telecom companies in Uganda can apply for shares through the Uganda Securities Exchange portal.
So there is an amazing growth opportunity ahead of us when it comes to mobile money. And then the second growth opportunity for sure is about mobile data. We're still having a relatively low penetration. We only have about 30% of our customers who actually have a smartphone that actually use mobile data on a regular basis.
Meanwhile, the Private Sector Foundation Uganda is partnering with the National Bureau of Standards in educating the general public and the private sector at large on the importance of having high quality standards.
The support we have extended to UNBS is about 2.5 billion shillings. And this is going to be used, it has been used in buying the equipment that you have seen, but also it's helping them to educate consumers and educate the private sector about the need and advantages of having standards. You know very well that today, if you want to access markets, you want to sell more, you sell because of the quality of the product you have.
The standards body has also received mobile equipment to enable it to certify agro products across the country.
You should focus on selling beyond Uganda, beyond Africa, and therefore the high time you start implementing these standards, the better for you. UNBS will continue to support and protect the consumers against these products, but we want the enterprises to lead in the implementation of standards voluntarily, because they gain more from these standards than really the regulator like us.
Dennis Igor for UBC Business.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart. Mommy, oh my Uganda.
look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Thank you so much for watching UBC News Roundup today on the 16th of October 2021. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha, and have a good day and a blessed week.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda.